At first it looked like a normal security notification, the kind millions of people receive every day on their phones. A small alert saying motion detected at the front door. It was 3:11 in the morning when Daniel's phone vibrated on his nightstand. Half asleep, he opened the security app and looked at the camera feed from his front porch. Nothing unusual, just the quiet street outside his house illuminated by a single streetlight. No people, no cars. The motion detection had probably been triggered by a passing animal or a gust of wind. Daniel locked his phone and went back to sleep. The next night the same thing happened again. 3:11 in the morning. Motion detected. This time he checked the recorded clip instead of the live feed. The video showed something strange. The camera slowly shifted downward as if someone had touched it. Just a small movement, but enough to slightly change the angle of the view. Daniel assumed the mounting bracket was loose. The camera had been installed months earlier, and maybe the screws had simply loosened over time. The next afternoon, he stepped outside and adjusted the camera himself, making sure it was tight and stable. That night, the notification appeared again. 3:11 in the morning. Motion detected. When Daniel opened the clip, he immediately felt uneasy. The camera moved again, not falling or tilting randomly. It turned slightly to the left, slowly, like someone had carefully rotated it. But when the camera finished moving, there was no one in the frame, just the empty street. Daniel walked outside immediately and checked the camera again. The bracket was tight. No signs anyone had touched it. The following night, he decided to stay awake and watch the camera feed live. At exactly 3:11, the screen flickered slightly. Then the camera began to move again, slowly rotating toward the front door of the house. Daniel ran to the window and looked outside, expecting to see someone standing near the porch. But the street was completely empty. The next morning, he checked something he had ignored before. The motion alert had not been triggered by movement outside the house. It had been triggered by motion directly in front of the camera, as if something had been standing right next to it, too close to appear in the frame. Story 2. The account that kept logging in. When people checked the login history on their accounts, they usually expected to see normal things. Their own devices, their own location, maybe an occasional login from another city while traveling. But one user on a tech forum noticed something strange. Every night at exactly 2:26 in the morning, his account showed a new login session. The location was always the same small town several states away. At first, he assumed someone had stolen his password, so he changed it. The next night, the login happened again. Same time, same location. Now he was concerned. He activated two-factor authentication. The system required a code sent to his phone before any new device could access the account. The following night, he checked the login history again. There it was, 2:26 a.m. Successful login. But his phone had never received a code. He contacted support assuming there was some error in the system. The company reviewed the logs and confirmed something strange. The login session had been authorized from the account owner's own device, the exact same phone he was holding in his hand. But according to the timestamp, the login occurred while the phone was completely turned off. Curious and slightly unsettled, he decided to test something. The next night, he placed the phone on his desk and left a camera recording the screen while he slept. In the morning, he reviewed the footage. At exactly 2:26, the phone screen suddenly turned on by itself. The lock screen appeared for only a moment. Then the screen went black again. When he unlocked the phone manually, he saw the notification confirming a login session had just occurred. The device listed was his own phone. The location was still the same distant town. Investigators later discovered something disturbing. The town connected to the login location had been abandoned for nearly 20 years. There were no active internet providers there anymore. No cell towers. No residents. Story 3. The man in every photo. A woman named Clara began noticing something strange while organizing old family photos. At first, it seemed like a coincidence. In the background of a picture taken at a park, there was a man standing near a tree. Just a stranger who happened to be in the distance when the photo was taken. But when she moved to the next photo, she noticed the same man again, standing much farther away near a fence. The photos had been taken weeks apart. Different locations, different events. Yet the same tall man appeared somewhere in the background. Always distant, always facing toward the camera. Curious, she continued looking through the photo albums. The pattern continued. A birthday party photo from years earlier. The same man standing across the street. A beach vacation picture. The same figure barely visible near the waterline. At first, Clara assumed it was just someone who looked similar. But then she noticed something unsettling. The man always wore the same dark jacket, the same posture, and the same expression, completely still, looking directly toward the camera in every photograph. She scanned the photos and showed them to her brother, expecting him to laugh at the strange coincidence. Instead, he immediately asked where she found those pictures, because he had seen the same man before, not in photos, but standing across the street from their childhood house late at night, watching the house from the sidewalk. When they looked again at the oldest photographs in the collection, they noticed something that made the situation even stranger. The earliest picture showing the man had been taken almost 30 years earlier. But the man in the background looked exactly the same age as he did in the most recent photo. No change, no difference. Just the same silent figure appearing in moments that should have been private memories. Always far away, always watching. In a quiet apartment building in Chicago, there was one apartment that nobody wanted to live in for very long. The building itself was normal. 10 floors, hundreds of residents. But the third floor had a small unit at the end of the hallway that tenants kept leaving after only a few weeks. The reason was always the same: the window in that apartment. At first, new tenants didn't notice anything unusual about it. The apartment was small but comfortable, and the rent was cheaper than the others in the building. The window faced a narrow alley behind the building where there was almost never any activity. But after a few nights, people started noticing something strange. Late at night, when the room was completely dark, the window looked different from the outside. Instead of reflecting the empty alley, it showed something that looked like the inside of the apartment, but slightly different. One tenant described walking down the alley late one night and looking up at the window from outside. The lights inside the apartment were off, but he could still see furniture clearly visible through the glass. But the strange part was that the apartment in the reflection did not match the layout of the real room. Some objects were in the wrong places. A chair that should have been near the wall appeared near the window instead. A lamp that normally stood beside the couch appeared in the middle of the room. Curious, the tenant returned to his apartment and checked the room again, but everything inside was normal. The furniture was exactly where he left it. Several nights later, the same tenant noticed something even more disturbing. When he looked at the window reflection again, the apartment inside looked almost identical to the real one, except for one detail. A person was standing near the back wall, completely still, watching the window.